All right, welcome back to another video, everyone. We are going to be doing some Chevy power in this video. Got a lot of really cool stuff to look at, starting off with my dirty, greasy hands, of course, as always. But we've got this 1980 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, and if you look closely on the door there, it does say Turbo Trans Am. So for a few years in the early 80s, they were available with a turbo on them. We've got a 1970 Chevy Camaro, finally a second generation Camaro, a Camaro that isn't a 67 or a 69. Been on the hunt for something like that for a while, so we still have to get a third generation and a fourth generation, but I do have my eyes on a fourth generation on Amazon, so I'll probably be grabbing that soon. We've got a 72 Chevy Chevelle. This is a hobby exclusive. It's Pennzoil sponsorship, I guess. Yeah, cool. And it says Doc Maynor, number 71. Not too sure who that is. And then we've got another car from the Detroit Speed Inc. Series 2. So if we take a quick look back here, we've got Dave Tucker's 1969 Camaro, and we've got Moe's 1970 Chevy Chevelle. So now we also have the 2012 Camaro test car. So this is number 3. If I can find numbers 1 and 2. There's 1. And here is, I believe this is number 2, right? Yes. So these are our other two Detroit Speed Inc. cars from Series 2. So, that's pretty cool. As always, adding more Camaros to the collection. So, without wasting too much time, let's get into that 1980 Pontiac Firebird, because I got a little bit I want to talk about with that Turbo Trans Am. Some interesting stuff going on there. So let's get this guy opened up and onto the lift. All right, so here is our, not only is it a Turbo Trans Am, but it is an official Indianapolis pace car for the, I want to say this is the Indy 500. Yes, this is the 45th anniversary. I had to take a peek at the card right there. So 45th annual Indy 500 pace car. So this is a Pontiac Firebird Turbo Trans Am. And so what that is like I always talk about with the 70s and 80s, emissions were choking out the horsepower numbers on a lot of muscle cars, and they were killing muscle cars off. Manufacturers were trying to find ways to add power without adding, emissions. And one of those ways is to use forced induction. So in the as the 80s progressed, you had things like the Grand National, the Cyclones and whatnot in the 90s. All your different manufacturers, a lot of people were experimenting with turbocharged engines. So in the early 80s, you had the Trans Am, which had a 301 cubic inch V8, a 4.9 liter, with a turbocharger on it. It was not intercooled or anything like that, so it only made about 210 horsepower. But that was more than what the non-turbo V8s were making at that time, so it was pretty cool to see. And not only that, but it made 345 foot-pounds of torque, so not a lot of horsepower, but it's definitely got some punch to it. Once that turbo spins up, that thing will start moving, no doubt. So this is a really, really cool example of a Turbo Trans Am. It's a Indianapolis Indy 500 pace car. I do have some other Indianapolis Indy 500 themed cars, but we'll get to those in later videos. So definitely a really cool paint job on here. One thing I do want to point out is the cowl on the hood. It says Turbo 4.9. It's only on one side, and the Firebird on the hood happens to have his head turned that way and is spitting a flame onto the cowl. So that's a really cool detail that you had on this car that I think is absolutely awesome, as well as the wheels on this. I like those kind of salad shootery looking hubcaps. Really cool car. We'll take a nice close look at what it says on the door there. You can read that if it'll focus. There we go. Official pace car, Turbo Trans Am, and it says It's a little small down there, but it says 45th Annual Indianapolis 500-mile race. Oh, goodness, I need my glasses. May 25th, 1980. And then on the back, we do not have a license plate on here, but I guess you don't need a license plate if you're a pace car. Massive taillight taking up the entire back of the car. That really looks super cool. And then it says, what does that say across the spoiler? Oh, of course. Turbo Trans Am right there above the tail light. Yeah, text is really small, pretty hard to make out, but very cool looking car. I don't think these lasted very long. I think in later years they moved to a 3.8 liter V6 with a turbocharger, similar to what you'd find in a Regal T-Type or Grand National, which I think actually made a little bit more horsepower. I think they were up towards the 230 horsepower range as opposed to 210. But yeah, still a very, very cool car. Very excited to add it to the collection. So we'll get this guy parked up into the parking garage. And oh, it looks so cool under the lights. We'll get to that later though. And we'll get our 1970 Chevy Camaro opened up. And of course, before I forget, there's our card. And this is, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but this is another hobby exclusive. Very cool picture of the car. The Turbo Trans Am pictured there. And then on the back of the card, we have the winner from the 1980 Indianapolis Indy 500, Johnny Rutherford, number 4, the Pennzoil car. Rather fitting, we've got a Pennzoil car right there. But anyway, so we'll get that card tucked into the box. We'll get into our 1970 Chevy Camaro from the Greenlight Vintage Ad Cars series. So this isn't necessarily an ad for the Chevy Camaro. This is a Mr. Gasket ad. And in here, it's got all the different stuff that you can get with Mr. Gasket and whatnot. If you would like, let's see if we can get that squared up just right, to go ahead and pause the video. You can go ahead and give that all a read. But we would be here all night if I tried to read all that, especially without my glasses on. But anyway, this is our 1970 Chevy Camaro. It doesn't specify whether it's an SS, a Z28, or anything like that. Let's see if we can get the hood open now real quick. Sweet. Take a peek in there. Clearly a V8. That's not a base model. For the 1970 Camaro, your top-of-the-line option, though, is a 350 small block that made actually 360 horsepower. So that's more than 1 horsepower per cubic inch. So that's not bad. That baby was tuned to the max there. And it also made 380 foot-pounds of torque. So definitely no slouch. I think I read the 0 to 60 was about 6.1 seconds. So by no means is this a slow car. Very cool looking. I think up at the front here, not sure if we saw that, there is a Mr. Gasket logo right behind the headlight there. This is not our first Mr. Gasket themed vehicle. We do have the 265 Mustangs, I think they were, with the Mr. Gasket theme. So and get our hood closed here. Let's see if we can see inside that interior. It looks to be all black interior. Nothing too exciting going on in there. Really no badging on this thing anywhere. It seems a little barren. Here's our rear end. Very nice rear end on the 2nd generation Camaro. So this is a 70 Camaro, and obviously if we take a look, that is the difference between a 70 and a 69. So, very interesting comparison. I definitely kind of maybe like the 2nd generation a little bit more than the 1st generation, just because the 1st generation you see so much of them. It's such an iconic car that it's nice and it's refreshing to see a 70s model Camaro. We'll move our other two into the background there. Very nice looking car. I love the red on this. Nice and bright. We'll take a peek underneath. I'm not sure if did we take a peek underneath the Trans Am? I don't think we did. But of course, metal base, and then we've got 1970 Chevrolet Camaro listed there. That is one thing I do absolutely love about Greenlights. They've always got the year, make, and model listed. Take a look under our Trans Am as well. Again, metal base, year, make, and model listed. A little, if you remember what the Auto Worlds look like underneath, you can tell the Greenlights seem to lack a little bit of detail, whereas the Auto Worlds seem to go pretty crazy with the detail and the base casting. So that's always interesting to look at. So that is our 1970 Chevy Camaro. We'll get him parked up next to the Trans Am. It's also a second generation Trans Am as well. And real quick, we'll take a look at our card here. These are the rest of the cars in this series. This is Vintage Ad Cars series number 6. We've got 1969 Datsun 510, the 70 Chevy Camaro, 70 Chevy Nova, 70 Jeepster Commando, 77 Volkswagen Rabbit, and an 82 GMC Caballero. I think that was GMC's version of the El Camino, and nobody bought it because it wasn't a Chevy El Camino. So anyway, let's crack open our 72 Chevy Chevelle. Got a lot of cool stuff to talk about with this one. I don't really know who Doc Maynor is, or the significance of this car, if this is a real replica of a real race car or anything like that. Unfortunately, it's Greenlight, so they kind of leave you in the dark about stuff like that. So let's get it open and take a look at it, though. So here is our 1972 Chevy Chevelle. This is, like I said, apparently a man named Doc Maynor's car. Got some different sponsorships on the side here. We've got Pennzoil, of course, J Gallery Drainage, Winthrop, Indiana. He can do her. Nice big number 71 on the side there. Looks like a big block under the hood, but with the second generation, so this is a second generation Chevelle, 1968 to 1972 would be your year range for those. You had pretty much every engine Chevy makes available to you. Everything from different straight sixes. I think there was 2 straight six options. You could get the 307, the 327, the 357, the 396 big block, the 400 small block. I know that's weird. The 402 big block, the 427 big block, and of course the 454 big block by 1970. And then the 454, you had various horsepower ranges throughout the years, but I think the top that you could get out of the 454 was the LS6 package, made 450 horsepower, which is an absolute monster of an engine. I know we just talked about, 1 horsepower per cubic inch is extremely impressive. So to see 360 out of a 350 is impressive, as well as 450 out of a 454. That is also very, that is a high-strung engine in there. But of course, we can see lots of nice detail under the hood. We've got our little Chevelle badge in the grille there. No Chevrolet emblem up in the front. Get our hood closed. Nice cowl induction. Now, I don't think this die-cast model is gonna, oh wait, no, maybe. Hold on. If you look very closely, you see this little rectangle up here. So on the real car, that is part of the cowl induction system, and when you stomp the throttle to the floor, that would actually open up and allow air to flow in. So yeah, if you've ever seen a big block Chevelle hammer on it, you'll see that little vent flip open, which is really cool. Big number 71 on the trunk there. I definitely do like the taillights on the 72, the twin circles. No license plate back there. And then, oh, you've got different sponsorships on different sides. This one says Triangle Plastics Inc. and H. Halford and Sons Feed and Seed, Winthrop, Indiana. I really do like the wheels on this model. We've got Goodyear tires on there. Looks very nice, very race ready. That hood's sitting a little crooked there, but oh well. Let's take a look underneath. We do, of course, as always, have a metal base. And there's our 1972 Chevrolet Chevelle. Classic Greenlight. What can you do? So we'll get into our last car here, personal favorite of mine, 2012 Chevy Camaro test car. So this is a year newer than mine. So we'll get it out of the box and take a look at it. Okay, so having a few issues keeping this hood open, so I'm going to show it to you like this. But there is, of course, as we should all know by now, our 6.2 liter or 376 cubic inch, I want to say, Chevy LS3 V8 producing 426 horsepower at the crankshaft and I believe 400 foot-pounds of torque. I could be wrong on the torque. I should look that up. I should know that. But anyway, yes, this is a 2012 Chevy Camaro, so a year newer than mine. And judging by the headlights, you can see it does have those little rings around it. Those are the halo rings. So this is, oh, and we've got a red SS emblem. Oh, we're going to knock it off the lift there. But we do have a red SS emblem in the bottom of the grille there. Kind of hard to see, but right there. So red SS emblem and halo headlights tells you one thing and one thing only. This is not a 1SS like mine. This is a 2SS RS. So this is a Super Sport, a 2SS, the higher trim level of the Super Sport. So you got leather seats. And then on top of that, it has the RS package. So it gets the fancy headlights, the super fancy seats, the cool heads-up display, and all the bells and whistles. So yes, this is nicer than my Camaro, but whatever. Very cool looking car. I really dig the white with the black roof, hood, and trunk. Gives it a very kind of old school muscle look. Lots of different sponsors and brands up there on the fender. All kinds of stuff from BF Goodrich, PPG. I think I see a Holly sticker in there, maybe. And then on the back fender there, we've got our Detroit Speed. Excuse me. Yeah, so this is a 2012, so this is the last year of this style taillight. In 2013, they changed them up and made them really ugly. And they also made the headlights a lot sleeker and kind of uglier. They didn't look as muscly. It looked like they tried to refresh a car that was supposed to look like a retro car, and it kind of just looked like you were sticking crap onto it. I don't know. I'm picky about my Camaros. But either way, still a very cool car. If we take a peek at the interior, again, all black interior, but it looks pretty accurate, if I do say so myself. I think I should know. Can just about make out a shifter on the floor there, so we're going to go ahead and imagine this is a 6-speed, which is the TR6060, which took the place of the T56. So if you know your transmissions there. Yeah, really sweet car. As always, I love adding another 5th generation Camaro to my collection. So we've got 2 generations left, like I said in the beginning of the video, 4th and 3rd. I do not have yet. So, either way, we love Camaros here. Take a peek underneath. I don't think we have, oh, do we? We have a license plate here. Yay, finally. Detroit Speed Inc. license plate, and then all metal on the base, 2012 Camaro SS, Chevrolet Camaro SS. That exhaust is correct. Yeah, that looks correct. Mine's a little different. I have long tube headers, so I don't have cats anymore, and I have an X pipe here instead of a mid muffler. But that's okay. So we will get this guy parked up into the parking garage, and you know what? How much time do we have? That's 20 minutes right there on the dot. What do you say? Let's do one more. So I actually just picked this guy up recently. This is a 2012 Chevy Camaro, or Camaro. This is a Chevy Corvette Z06. So this is another generation that we were missing. This is called the C6 or 6th generation Corvette. One of the first Corvettes to not have flip-up headlights since the 60s. A little fun fact there. So we'll get this guy popped out of the box and we'll take a closer look at it. All right, so here is our 2012 Z06 Corvette. Very awesome looking car. So this car would have came out when I was in senior year of high school, so you can imagine how I feel about them. Very, very cool. Unfortunately, we don't have an opening hood on this casting, but I can tell you that under the hood you would find an LS7 V8, because this is a Z06. The LS7 was a 7-liter or 427 cubic inch, stay with me here, small block V8. It is part of the, oh God, what is it? Gen 3? Gen 2, Gen 3? Small block series from GM. They are the LS motors. Very powerful motor, capable of over 500, where I think it was right around either 500 or 510 or something like that, maybe 515 horsepower that these things made. Absolute monsters of cars, again with a TR6060 6-speed manual transmission. So basically just a Camaro on steroids, you know, lighter, faster, and more mean looking, but of course more expensive. Very cool car though. So this does have, I really do like this color on here too, this light blue. So we do have correct wheels on here. Those are Z06 wheels. Take a peek at our interior. Not a day for very extravagant interiors, but we can see our shifter in there, some nice dark gray bucket seats. Looks like the cockpit of a fighter jet, because it basically is. I'm not sure the 0 to 60 times on these guys, but I'm 90% sure they were under 4 seconds. Absolute missile of a car. So I'll take a look at our card real quick. This is a Johnny Lightning as opposed to the 4 green lights that we just went through. Part of the Classic Gold series. This is a new casting for them. Limited edition, one of 14,788. And we have our fun facts down here. This is the first release of our new 2012 Chevy Corvette Z06 casting. Only 478 units of the 2012 Chevy Corvette Z06 were produced. Of those, only 12 were painted Carlisle Blue Metallic, which is, of course, here our paint code. Excuse me. Carlisle Blue, so that'll be version A. And then over here we do have, oh look, there you go. Z06, 505 horsepower, so I was a little off. I said like what, 510, 515. So these are the Classic Gold 2021 release number 4. And we've got an 83 Ford Ranger, 81 Mazda RX-7, 70 Mercury Cougar Eliminator. I saw that one recently. The 62 Chevy Bel Air, that's a really cool one. I'd like to find that. 89 Lotus Esprit, and the 2012 Chevy Corvette. So, as always, keeping our eyes peeled for all the cool Johnny Lightnings. Yeah, unfortunately, no opening features on this car. Let's take a look underneath. Do have a metal base, as always, with Johnny Lightning. No year, make, or model listed on the base there, but the license plate says, ooh. Okay, I don't know if I just don't get that one or whatever. Anyway, really cool car, so we'll get that one parked up into the parking garage now that we have too many cars to do on one row. We'll drag that over and get you set up so we can take one last look at the cars we went over today. So one more time, here is our 1980 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am Turbo. followed by our 1970 Chevy Camaro, our 1972 Chevy Chevelle, our 2012 Camaro SS, and then upstairs, all by his lonesome, our 2012 Corvette Z06. If I can hold the camera still there. So make sure, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, and make sure you hit the subscribe button too, and I will see you in the next video.